Okay, so now we're going to talk about the reproductive system of the pelvis. So when we look at the female reproductive, that's what we're going to cover first. We have the uterus, the cervix is down here, actually kind of goes like this, the rectum, the vaginal canal, the urethra, the bladder, the pubis symphysis, and we have the ovaries with the fallopian tubes. This is a sagittal MRIT2. It's heavily weighted, so it's real bright white with the fluid. So coming around is your rectum. We have your uterus here, your bladder, and this is your urethra. So a Sag-T, it's like a PD, it looks like. So when we're looking here, we have the rectum, most posterior. Next to it, we have the vaginal canal with the urethra, which drains the bladder, as you know. Here's your pubic symphysis. Here is your uterus right there. So when we're looking at the uterine tube, I like to call it the fallopian tube. Either one is fine. So here's your ovary, your bladder, and then I want you to know your obturator internus muscle with your uterus. So on this picture, the uterus is looking straight at us. So this is the endometrial cavity right here. So this is CT, we have the bladder, and then the ureters coming down. I don't see them real well, but I figured I'd show you that one, where the ureters are supposed to be. Looking here, we have the bladder, the uterus. Here's a stripe right there, and we have the ovary with some follicles. Here's your bladder, your rectum, and your vaginal canal. Here's a picture again, we'll cover it. So here's your uterus, and then your cervix is like this. And then we have the rectum, the vaginal canal, the urethra, the bladder, the pubis symphysis, and the ovary with the fallopian tube. So looking here, we have the perimetrium with the myometrium with the endometrium. Endometrium is the most inner layer. The myometrium is usually where there's fibroids. So here we have the ovarian ligament, which holds the ovaries up. We have the body of the uterus, the broad ligament, and you have your cervical canal is here with the vaginal canal, and you have your external os, which is the opening out into the vaginal canal from the cervix. You have your internal os, which is the opening of the cervix into the endometrium, into the endometrial cavity, I should say. So you have your ureter, you can see it coming down. And we have the ovarian ligament on this side with the ovary and the fimbriae with the suspensory ligament holding the ovary up. So this is that same image. So we have the retrouterine pouch with the cervix is here, and this is your uterine cavity with your myometrium, and we are looking at your vaginal canal here with your urethra, and you have retropubic. So this, they call that the retrouterine. No, it's not. The retropubic space. Sorry. So the bladder, pubis symphysis. This is a really steep angle that we do on MRI, trying to get an axial slice here. It actually flipped it upside down, so as you can see, the sacrum is up here, and this happens when we angle too steep. It actually flips the image upside down, so hate that, but it's fine. It doesn't change the reading. So here is your sacrum and your ilium. You have your myometrium with your uterine cavity. Here's your bladder right there. Here's your ovary. So here's your bladder, this is your round ligament, this out here is your myometrium or the body, here's your uterine cavity. Uterine cavity, here's your round ligament with your myometrium as the muscle layer. Looking here, this is anterior, this is your bladder, your uterus, your rectum, your broad ligament around back, your cervix is down at the bottom, you have a ureter on both sides coming down, and you can see your ovaries with your fallopian tube. Bladder, this is your myometrium with your endometrium, and here's your rectum. So here's your bladder. You can see the stripe right there in your cervix. So we're pretty low. You can see where we're cutting through right there. So we're in the cervix. And here's your rectum. Here's your bladder, your uterus, your rectum. Not very clear, is it? MRI is much better for this. So this is a Chronal T1. So the fundus of your uterus and your vaginal canal here, obturator externus, internus, and then your broad ligament. So we have your fallopian tube with your ovary and your broad ligament right there, piriformis muscle, gluteus maximus, and we have right here is your gluteus medius with your gluteus minimus. This is your ilium, your iliopsoas muscle, your external iliac artery, and your vein, artery vein, right next to each other. So pubis symphysis. This is your retropubic space with your vaginal canal and your rectum, and here is your greater trochanter. Your ovary, your round ligament, your uterine cavity with the body, and you have your myometrium all the way around. And your ovaries, there's a little cyst on that one. Here's your uterus and your rectum back here. Looking here is your obturator internus, your ovary. Here's the little teeny uterus. This person's never had a kid. And your broad ligament coming across. I want you to know the vaginal canal and your obturator externus and internus. Here's your bladder, your vaginal canal, and your rectum. And your bladder, your vaginal canal, and your rectum. The male reproductive system, I think, is a little more complicated. So here's a ureter coming in. This is the bladder right here, this whole thing. This is the rectum. We have the, oh my goodness, semivesicle here coming down into the ejaculatory duct. Coming out of the bladder, we have the prostate urethra, which goes to the membranous urethra. So the prostate urethra is in the prostate. Your membranous urethra coming down, and here's your bulbal urethral gland right here, and then coming down, here's your epididymis, your testes with your scrotum, the penis, penile urethra. So there's three sections you have to know. So there's the prostatic, the membranous, and the penile urethra. The prostate, Vas Deferens, so it actually comes from down below, comes up, wraps around, and joins in with the ejaculatory duct, which goes down into the membranous urethra. And you have your pubis symphysis and of course your bladder. So here's the bladder. The main thing I want you to see here, this kind of is a weird diagram, but I like it for the sense it shows you your prostate, your bulbal urethral gland, and then the bulb of the penis, and you have your corpus cavernosus and your corpus sponginosum. So there, so your epididymis, you have the head, the body, and the tail that wraps around the testes. Blown up picture, here's your vas deferens. So the epididymis, here's the head, the body, the tail, and then this you can just call the testes. I'm fine. So your trigon is right here where your ureters come into your bladder. Then you have your prostate gland on the outside with your prostate urethra. So this is your ischium, urethra, levator, antemuscle, muscle, and your obturator internus muscle. Give you the lay of the land. So this is a sagittal T2. So here's your bladder, and back here they're calling this the seminal vesicle. So here's your prostate gland with your membranous. So your prostate urethra comes through here to your membranous urethra, to your penile urethra, and here's your corpus sponginosum with your corpus cavernosum. Did I say that right? Yeah. All right. So bladder here, and we've got your seminal vesicle in the back. You have your prostate gland with your prostate urethra running down the middle with your membranous urethra coming down and around, and your right here is your corpus cavernosum, and this is your corpus sponginosum. I have better pictures to explain that. So obturator internus, obturator externus. This is your inferior pubic ramus. I want you to know the bulb of your penis and the cura of your penis and the prostate gland up here. So the bladder, this is your spermatic cord on either side of the rectus abdominis. pectineus muscle is there. This is your prostate gland with your rectum and the obturator internus muscle. This is a Sag T1. It's pretty low quality. Here is the rectum, the bladder, the pubis symphysis. Here's your penis, and right here is your prostate. This is MRI of the testes, so this is left and right. I mainly wanted you to see kind of how they are on MRI, and this is your epididymis here. Your scrotal sac holds them all together. This is CT, big difference. So your scrotum around the outside, your testes on the inside, and your epididymis, hard to see. So here we have the testes and your epididymis. Vas Deferens, we're not scanning for testes here, clearly. So here we are. And this is your corpus cavernosum on either side with your corpus sponginosum here in the middle. These are lymph nodes, all those, and this is your spermatic cord coming down bilaterally. These are your testes down here. So T1, so this is your spermatic cord, and on both sides you have your corpus cavernosum. This is the bulb of your penis and your crus of your penis. So I wanted to show you this one. This is your bladder. This is in the rectum. This is a coil that we used to insert into the rectum so that we could see everything better. These are your Vas Deferens coming down right here. So, and then your seminal vesicles coming around. So this was a coil that we inserted into the rectum on the males to scan to get quality. So starting over here, pectineus muscle, spermatic cord. Here's the body of your pubis. And then you have your femoral vein, femoral artery, sartorius muscle. You have your rectus femoris muscle, your tensor fasciae latae muscle with your iliopsoas and your quadratic femoris. This is your gluteus maximus here, obturator internus. We have, this is the rectum, this is the prostate, and your levator ante muscle right there. Okay, so seminal vesicle on either side. Here's your rectum and then your spermatic cord. Looking at your spermatic cord, and then the suspensory ligament. Here's your femoral vein and artery with your prostate gland, and you can see your prostate urethra right there. It's a little bright. Your rectum is posterior. So this is just an MRI. This has rectal coil also. This is kind of old school. We don't use those anymore that I know of. Some places do that are specialized for prostates, but overall we don't use it. We can get high enough signal without them. So there's just another picture of the prostate gland. You can see how this doesn't look homogeneous. So here is the prostate also. This is MRI, seminal vesicles here. Pretty cool shot. So bladder up top. So this whole thing is the prostate gland. Looking here, so we have the prostate gland with the prostate urethra. We have the membranous urethra with the spongy urethra to the penile. The penile runs down the length of the penis. So you can see here the corpus cavernosus on either side with the spongy urethra within the corpus sponginosum. So here's the gland, penis, the body, and the root. Looking here, the corpa cavernosum with the corpus sponginosum and the testes hanging down. So here is your cura on either side with your corpus cavernosum, the gland, penis. So we have back here is your ischial inferior, what the heck are they calling this? Inferior pubic ramus, and then the rectum here. So this is the bulb of the penis. So the vascular system I'm going to cover in another PowerPoint.